We continue our groundbreaking investigation into the murders of two Toledo teens. 11 Investigates spent months digging into how Kamarion Wilder and KyShawn Pittman were kidnapped and killed. In the end, 11 adults were charged. Tonight, Melissa Andrews showed us how prosecutors navigated a group of lying suspects and got to the truth so they could deliver justice.
This case was not an easy one for prosecutors. They'd never seen a case with this many defendants, and they didn't have key evidence most jurors want to see. And because of that, they had to make some difficult decisions to put the real killers behind bars.
At the end of the day, it was about greed and vengeance and getting revenge. I can't say in my experience I've had this many defendants, certainly on a murder case. This case seemed to kind of unravel.
Both boys were bound, beaten, brought into defendant Walker's trunk alive, and later killed. Their burned bodies were found in the rubble of a house. Same block, defendant Walker lives, defendant Kohlhofer owns multiple properties.
After 17 months of investigation, a 9-day trial, and 15 hours of deliberation, a jury closed the book on the kidnappings and murders of Kamarion Wilder and KyShawn Pittman in May of 2024.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Charles Walker, guilty. We, the jury, find defendant, Brent Kohlhofer, guilty.
DNA is so important to jurors. They love DNA, and you didn't have any DNA. How big of a concern was that going into this? So DNA is always something that juries want.
Lead prosecutor Maggie Cuck said more items were submitted to BCI for testing in this case than any she's worked. Lowering the expectations on day one during jury selection, she told jurors they would not see DNA evidence.
You're one, dealing with it up front and saying, we don't necessarily have it, but can you all agree to put aside that desire for DNA and look at the evidence we do have? But then throughout the trial, you're talking about why you may not have DNA.
She says areas were cleaned and the boys were burned, destroying that DNA. So prosecutors honed in on the motive. Various people thought the boys stole from them, including Kohlhofer, who had $60,000 worth of marijuana confiscated by police after an attempted theft just 1 month before the murders. But it was never confirmed whether the boys were the ones who stole.
Accusations just trying to cover up the fact of they had no reason to kill them.
The trial included the testimony from witnesses and 9 others who received plea deals for information.
Quite frankly, I think all of the testimony was that those boys were alive when they left the Maumee Street address. But it's the other evidence that we have in this case, such as the surveillance videos, the cellular record analysis, the text messages, which I think assist in supporting evidence that Cruz Garcia wasn't involved or wasn't there when the boys were killed.
Garcia was involved. He admitted to beating the boys with a gun, accusing them of robbing his mom. He then called their killers, Kohlhofer and Walker, and handed the boys over to them, but did not kill them.
That's when Chuck and Brett started beating on them.
Garcia was initially charged with kidnapping and murder, but made a deal for his testimony. In making that deal, a violent criminal will be out of prison by the time he's 50.
Is that a hard decision to make, to strike a deal with someone who's done, I mean, he did beat these kids and hand them over? Absolutely, it is. It's not something that we go into lightly. You're certainly balancing out what are you getting, what are you giving up. And I don't disagree with your assessment. What Cruz Garcia did, what happened inside of that Maumee Street address is abhorrent. It should have never happened. But those boys were also alive when they left that home.
Then murdered, dumped, and burned in this home. Cuck says it was a Crime Stoppers tip that led police to that house and the boys' bodies in the basement.
Those are allowed to come in anonymous, and when that happens, I don't have access to who that individual was.
The person who gave that tip was never identified and did not testify, leading to questions. Who were they and how did they know?
Would I like to know who that person is? Absolutely, because they may have the information that so-and-so told them, and that's certainly something I would like to know. But unless there's more information given, it's hard to identify these, and it's just sometimes pure conjecture. So would I like it? Yes. Is it always possible? No.
Despite some of these hurdles, 2 murderers are behind bars for life, and a slew of liars and violent criminals are paying a price too. Prosecutors and police believe justice was served. But for the families of these boys, no punishment will ever be enough.
Everybody deserved life with no parole. Because if it was up to me, they could rot in hell for all I care.
For 11 Investigates, I'm Melissa Andrews.